Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. We'll continue to let people in as they join us, but I just want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who's joining us today. My name is Alicia Mowry. I'm the Public Information Officer here at the Delaware Area Career Center, and all that really means is that I oversee the communications from our school. So a lot of the information that you have been getting from us and that you will get from us comes from my department. So if you like seeing the face behind some of the information, I'm just one of a great team that's getting this out to you. So we have a lot to cover today, and we're going to try to get through it all. A lot of you submitted questions that we'll try to cover as we go along, but I want you to know that you are not expected to be an expert in any of this as we cover the information. Our counseling team will be here for you throughout the rest of the school year, and as your student starts with us to walk you through everything they're about to tell you. This is just meant to give you an overview of what to expect. There's a lot of us here today, so if you weren't automatically muted when you came in, if you don't mind muting yourself just to cut out some of that background noise, we'll be able to unmute later if there's questions at the end. Probably most importantly, just like a lot of pandemic COVID things, this is the first time that we have done this and that we've done it virtually. So just bear with us as we work out any kinks that we might run into. And then due to the high interest of this session, this has become the first in a series. So look for some dates coming where we'll have an opportunity to talk with our building principals, our career tech supervisor about some other topics that will be important as you get closer to next fall. So with that, I am going to hand this over to our Student Services Supervisor, David Gillum. Oh, sorry, Dave, one more thing. I'm sorry. Yep. I will be monitoring the chat. So if you do have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will try to make sure everybody's questions get answered. All right, Dave, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. Thank you, Alicia. So congratulations. I know I have students on here as well as parents. So thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to engage with you in regards to DACC. So just some brief information in regards to myself. I've been privileged to serve in this capacity as the Student Services Supervisor for the past 6 years at Delaware Area Career Center. I love career technical education because we're able to provide opportunities for all students. And it's really to help them figure out what they want to do after high school to really carve their own path. So if they want to go straight out in the business and industry, we are going to prepare them in the 2 years that they are here. If they want to go on to post-secondary endeavors, that is great as well. And then they can pursue their career after that. So again, I love career technical education, and hopefully after your experience here, you're going to love career tech as well. To give you an idea of how popular we're actually setting the bar for the highest class of students coming in here for next school year. So currently, we're at 670 accepted students. So that really speaks volumes for the need of CTE education in our community, as well as our associate districts for promoting DACC. Thank you, parents, for supporting and encourage your students as well to take advantage of this opportunity. I wanted to start out real quick with the agenda. So you can see the agenda up here. We want to talk, I have my team on here with school counselors. We want to give you an overview with the scheduling process, support services, graduation and college planning, as well as I'm going to talk about the acceptance celebration. Again, because our students, our newly accepted students, they have never stepped foot on our campus. Due to obviously the pandemic, we have sophomore visit days. We were able to think outside the box. So thank you with our recruitment department to offer that 360 tour. So we're going to be able to offer an in-person acceptance celebration here in May, and I'll speak to that later in the presentation. So real quick, this is our mission as well as our vision of DACC. So we want to be able to empower, prepare, inspire, and connect our students. So it's all about giving them meaningful opportunities. We have top of the line instructors that have been in business and industry, so they understand what needs to be taught here at DACC, so students are successful. We have top of the line equipment as well as our facility and opportunities for our students with early job placement, pre-apprenticeships, and job shadowing opportunities. And then ultimately, we want to be able to elevate our students' lives so they can go on. This is definitely going to be a resume builder for our students. Moving on real quick, just wanted to introduce, these are our high school administrators. So we have Ms. Trusley, who is our CT supervisor. She oversees our satellite programs. So that means that programming that is not on DACC grounds. I think of wildlife, I think of the Columbus Zoo, I think of equine science programs, as well as overseeing programs at our associate districts. We have programming at Big Walnut High School, as well as Delaware Hayes and Buckeye Valley. Myself, I oversee student services, so I oversee school counselors, special education, transition programming, as well as enrollment. We have Mr. Herzog and Mr. Weaver, who are our assistant principals. So they do oversee some CTE programming. Mr. Herzog oversees our academics. And then last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Gaskell, who is our building principal. Next up, we have our school counseling team, Ms. Cox, Mr. Wood, and Ms. Fissel. So I'll go ahead and hand it off to Ms. Cox.
Hi, I'm Allison Cox. I'm one of the school counselors here, and we divide our team divides our students a little bit differently than at the traditional high schools. So usually students are divided alphabetical order at their home schools. We divide here by labs. So the three of us have divided all of our labs and oversee those labs. So my labs I'm responsible for are auto collision, automotive technology, cosmetology, culinary arts, early childhood education, food service, landscape architecture, power sports and diesel, welding, as well as the Columbus Zoo program.
And hello, I'm Matt Wood. I'm one of our other school counselors. And as you see there, I work with students in application development, CBI 9, CBI 10, construction, cybersecurity, digital design, engineering technician, engineering, robotics, and design. And then we also have Holly Fissel. She is doing one of those things that sometimes we have to do as school counselors, dealing with an emergency with a student, and unfortunately can't be here at the moment. She handles bioscience, dental assisting, exercise science, equine science, fire service training, health and technology and nursing, hospitality, law enforcement, medical assisting, wildlife resource management, and pharmacy technician. Okay, so what do we do here as a school counselor here at the Career Tech in Career Technical Education at DACC? We do anything and everything. I think that's one thing to always think about your school counselor. If you need something, reaching out to our office. If it's not something you think is directly with the teacher, then reach out to us and we'll help figure it out. So we do a lot of things similarly to your home schools. And we always put our students first. That's what a school counselor should be doing, working with students. And students see us a lot here at DACC. We're in the classrooms, we're in the labs, we're always visible and always available to support them. We work with them on their academics, with their grades, work with them on figuring out careers. We do a lot with college and post high school items. And then obviously we deal a lot with social and emotional needs as students have that throughout the school year. One thing that with career technical education that's a little bit different than a regular high school is we are always collaborating with our partners at other schools and with in the business arena and agencies and so forth. We're always collaborating every day since all of our students are with another school or another agency. We always are working with somebody else and communicating. And then finally, we again, we want that student-centered approach. So we're always trying to make sure we're advocating for equitable, safe, and inclusive and positive learning for all our students, and being there for what students and parents need. So we look forward to working with you, and are available to help you out through this process.
So scheduling is probably a big question that a lot of you have had. Switching to a new school, I know, especially since you haven't got to visit yet for most of you, brings a lot of questions. So hopefully going through some of these slides today will help answer these questions. But in terms of scheduling, a lot of scheduling is done for you by us. And so I'll kind of talk you through how that process looks. First of all, our day is split kind of in half here. So half of the day, the students are in their career tech lab. The other half of the day, they're doing their academic classes. So if they are a full day student with us, they remain here all day. If they're a half day student, when their lab is over, they hop on their bus or drive back to their home schools and take their academic classes at their associate school district. So the majority of our labs are scheduled for level 1 for their first year here. The majority of our labs meet first thing in the morning from 7:50 to 10:50 in the morning. One of the exceptions to that is our Zoo School program. Their day is actually flipped from our other programs. So our Zoo School students, the level 1 first year students, actually take their Zoo School program from 12:30 to 3 o'clock at the Columbus Zoo. Full day students, we have sent a survey out. There was an onboarding email that went out to all of our families where we ask you to fill out a survey and indicate your preference if you were going to be full day with us as to which classes that your student would like to take. Again, a lot of times we don't have as many periods in our day as a homeschool, so there's not a lot of room, especially that first year, for elective choices. So your schedule is pretty set. So all of our students will be taking an English class. So whether that be English 11 or the College Credit Plus level. All of our students will be taking a full year of government unless they have already met that requirement. They're homeschooled, but the majority of our juniors do take that English 11 class. We also have a College Credit Plus option for that course as well, a CCP Political Science class. Math, we actually schedule for the students. We look at their transcript and determine which next level of math they need. So if they're in Algebra 1 this year, we'll schedule them for geometry. If they're in geometry this year, Algebra 2 for next year. If they're already in Algebra 2, we have options for that as well, pre-calculus and those kind of classes. We do also on our survey mention a College Credit Plus statistics course, which may be available for students as well. And then finally, science, that is one class that the students do have a little bit of option with. We offer 3 science classes for our juniors. So there's the option of taking chemistry, anatomy, or a forensics class. We do our best to get students the classes that they ask for, but we do ask that you note 2 classes if possible. We try our best, but some of our classes, it's very specific as to which courses they need. So they might get scheduled into the one that fits as well. They did put in the chat feature the survey. If you have not completed that yet, that is in the chat room for you to make sure you have completed that for us. In the picture that you see on the screen, that is what our academic model looks like. So you'll see it looks different than a traditional classroom. You can see, we call it the big space. So students start in that classroom space, and then they also break up into the classrooms. You can see the classroom behind it up in the corner. So students are then pulled into classes if the teachers are doing whole class instruction that day. So our model is very much a blended model. So there are days that teachers are delivering whole group instruction to the students, as well as other days where they're working independently on assignments through Google Classroom that have been assigned to them. So teachers are always within the space and always available for help. But there are times when students are working on their own, as you see, like the students on the couch or the tables, where they're just working on their assignments for that day. So we tend to see that students are most successful if they are able to be a self-starter. And if they have the ability to work independently when needed. So again, there'll be times when the students are kind of set free, the teachers are still within that classroom, but that the students are just working on their things for the day. The teachers are there for help if they need it. But those are some of the traits that we see our students are most successful with. Also, our teachers understand that our students are here for their career tech lab, and so they teach with that in mind. So as much as they can incorporate aspects from the students' labs into their classes, they do that pretty much daily. At some point, if they can reference things that they're learning in lab, they know that that's why they're here and that they're hands-on learners. So they definitely teach to that style as well.
As we move into the grading scale, if you do have questions, please throw those into the chat, or if there's something you want to know about that you think that we may not be covering, put that into the chat and we will try to get to all those at some point. The DACC grading scale should look very similar to most schools that we work with. You'll see that here. And we do give quarterly report cards, and we use PowerSchool for grading, which again, most of our home schools use PowerSchool as well. So that should be pretty familiar to most of you. And if you've not used PowerSchool, it's pretty easy to use. Grades are regularly updated by teachers. So parents can really see what students are working on and what they've not turned in. So that's the best resource to try to figure that out as you're trying to keep up with what your student's doing. And then they'll get grade cards quarterly, but you'll be able to check those live as they come out at the end of each quarter. We do not give transcripts at DACC. The homeschools put grades into their transcripts. And so that's done by each homeschool, and that's done at the end of each semester. You'll see the grading scale here, and you can look more at our handbook at this link on our website.
Okay, I'm up again. I just wanted to add too with our PowerSchool. So we have a separate PowerSchool. So the other school districts that have PowerSchool, unfortunately, they are not connected, but we will supply you with a username and password, parents, at the beginning of the school year, so you can get set up with our own PowerSchool system. So transitioning into our support services, we do honor 504 plans and IEPs. Give you an idea of the case managers. So 504 plans, it would be the assigned school counselor that oversees that CTE program with that list that we went over at the beginning of the presentation. With IEPs, the case manager is going to be determined in regards to if the student is full day or half day. So for full day students, we have 3 intervention specialists in our academics, and that's how I would assign a case manager. For half-day students, we have vocational special education coordinators, and you're often going to hear the word VOSE. So that's what that stands for. And then to be able to support our students, we do offer learning center support for our academic students, as well as VOSE support. So kind of give you an idea of logistics involved. Parents of students that are on an IEP, your current case manager, they're going to be contacting you, and maybe they've already contacted you. We have a spring transition meeting. So that's when our VOCEs, they're going to meet virtually with you. They're going to review the IEP, and then they're going to add their services to Section 7 of the IEP. After that transition meeting, they will then go and speak to the career tech instructor to make them aware of your students' needs, as well as making sure that they are prepared and they see the IEP, so we can obviously be compliant to make sure we are providing accommodations and modifications if needed. In regards to 504 plans, so the associate schools will send those 504 plans to DACC. And then what we do as well is we upload those into our PowerSchool system, so our teachers always have instant access to those 504 plans as well as IEPs.
Hey, Dave, before you move on, For those meetings, will they be contacted by phone or email, or how will people be reached out to set up like meetings for IEPs?
Yep. So it's really dependent on the current case manager. So they, I guess whatever their convenience is, if they're sending you an email or sending you a parent invite formally, that PRO1 to set up that meeting, or they could be contacting you via phone. But there will be eventually a virtual meeting like this where I just put Ms. Johnson on here as well as Ms. Bando, their pictures. To give you an idea, Ms. Bando, she oversees Westerville City Schools as well as Olentangy local schools. And then Ms. Johnson would oversee Delaware, Worthington, Buckeye Valley, and Big Walnut students. So these faces you should be seeing here soon in the springtime. We try to get those completed by the 1st of May. Just dependent to, we are accepting more students. So the more students we accept, then maybe, the longer it's going to take to set up those transition meetings. But those should be starting here soon. I could see end of March, 1st of April with the transition meetings.
And then Dave, one more question before you move on. If a student is on a learning plan rather than something formal like a 504 IEP, will that be taken into account?
Absolutely. Yes, we will honor that as well.
Okay, I lied. One more question. How does this process work for a full-time student versus a student who spends half their time with us and half their time at their associate district?
Full-time. How's it? So it's going to be the same thing. So for any student that is on an IEP, we're going to have a transition meeting.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving on to behavioral health. So as we all know, as we navigate through this pandemic, there's been a great need for that mental health component. But I can tell you, prior to the pandemic, we've already had that established within our walls for the past 6 years. Because in order to maximize the learning for our students, we have to be able to get to the root problem. We can't put a Band-Aid on mental health. So I can tell you that, we offer great services for our students. Ultimately, we want to be able to help our students. So from a behavioral health component, not only do we intervene to help our students with proactive and some reactionary education. If a student does receive discipline, we want to make sure that the student does receive some type of education. We just don't want to slap them on the wrist and give them some type of punitive consequence, because that's not going to solve anything. As well as it's really helped our staff. So we've been able to implement various professional development opportunities so our staff understands how we can serve our students the best. Moving on, we have graduation information.
Okay, so a lot of, again, this is a big question that we get a lot of times, is understanding how graduation works and who kind of tracks the credits that the students are earning. So just to be clear, that the students are still graduating from their home high schools. So they're taking classes, even if they're a full-day student, they're taking coursework through DACC, but ultimately they're still graduating from the school that they're currently attending, so through their home high school. So that school is the one that issues the final diploma. That's the school that you follow for the graduation requirements, all of those things. They will still be receiving their diplomas from their home schools. Here at DACC, they will receive a completion certificate from us for successfully completing their program. Their home at the end of their 2 years with us, their homeschool, they will attend their homeschool's graduation ceremony. We also have a completion ceremony at our school where the students receive their completion certificates. So that's at the end of their senior year or their second year with us. We work collaboratively, as Mr. Wood said earlier, with the homeschool counselors. We are in constant contact daily with our homeschool counselors just to make sure that we're keeping everybody in the loop of situations and to make sure students are on track to meet the proper requirements. The majority of our homeschools, the requirements are very similar, as we'll go through here in a minute, but every once in a while there's something a little bit different, but we work closely with our partners at our homeschools to make sure that students are staying on track and have what they need in order to graduate. And then finally, all of our classes the students take here with us at DACC, those grades are sent back to the homeschools and those are added to their homeschool transcript. So as a student's applying for college, a lot of times parents will reach out to get a DACC transcript. We do not have a separate transcript. Those classes are all located on their official homeschool transcript. So any classes they take with us are also on their homeschool's transcript. So moving into the new graduation requirements, this is new as of the class of 2023, which would include most of the people on this conversation and beyond. So they say these are going to be the permanent graduation requirements. We know things change, and obviously with the pandemic, things have changed from time to time. But as of right now, these are the graduation requirements that the class of 2023 and beyond are expected to follow. So first, they kind of have to do three things in order to earn their diploma. So the first thing is meeting all of the requirements and covering the basic classes that they need. So all of our schools, they have to earn 4 credits of English, they have to earn 4 credits of math, 3 credits of science, 3 credits of social studies, a half credit of health, a half credit of physical education, as well as at least 5 electives. And those electives, that's kind of where the career tech programs would fall. Those would be counted towards that elective credit. So students that come to the Career Center usually end up graduating with plenty of credits and have plenty in that elective category. Also, it's a requirement that students earn an economics and financial literacy component, or at least take a class that covers that. As well as 2 semesters of fine arts. Now, a lot of our homeschools do waive that fine arts piece based on completing their CTE program with us, but that's definitely something that you want to check to be sure with the homeschools as well. And that's something also we work with the homeschool counselors to make sure that that requirement is met.
And real quick, I wanted to interject. Alicia, if you can, in the chat feature, if you can add the DACC lab and academic credits, that PDF where parents can view that. So that's going to give you a breakdown for each individual lab. And as you can tell, when you open that up, we do have academics built into some of our CTE programming. It also gives you an idea too of the industry approved credentials that we offer by lab, as well as the articulation and CTAGs, which I'll cover here in the next couple slides.
Real quick, can we address 2 questions that just
Yes.
came in? Is the economics and financial literacy taken during the senior year?
So if you're full day with us, then yes, it is. So our juniors take the government class for a full year. Our government class here does not include the econ and financial literacy piece. So as seniors, our students take a semester of that class. If you're half day or homeschools, some of our schools do things a little bit differently, and you might take a government 1 and a government 2, and that covers your government and econ class. So each school works a little bit differently. But if you're full day with us, junior and senior year, you will take that econ during your senior year. Yes.
Okay, and then I'm just going to read this question word for word so I don't ask it the wrong way. I'm going into junior year next year, but I have a question about physical education and health. My freshman year, I took both physical education and health. Do I need to take it again junior year?
No. So as long as you have earned a half credit. Now, physical education usually 1 class equals a quarter credit. So you have to take 2 PE classes in order to equal that, or play 2 seasons of a sport or band in order to meet that criteria. But yes, if you already have all of that covered from freshman year, you do not have to do it again. These are your from 9th grade through 12th grade, the credits that you need to have in order to graduate.
Thanks, Allison.
Good questions. Yep. So the second piece of the new graduation pathway is that you're going to show your competencies. So end of course testing is still going to be around. However, for this graduating class of 2023, they have taken off a test. So the English Language Arts 1, so 9th grade ELA test will no longer be a tested subject, as well as instead of having an overall cumulative amount of points, students have to show competency in Algebra 1 and ELA 2. So they have to earn a competency score, which right now is set at a 684 in those two areas. If they receive those scores, then they are good to go for the second criteria to meet graduation requirements. If they do not meet those scores, they have to retake the test at least once. If they still do not earn those scores, then they have 3 options that the students can follow in order to show competency. So option 1 is career-focused activities. So these would be some of the things that, again, being at DACC could help with. So proficient scores on web exams, which are tests that they'll take through their labs. A 12-point industry credential, which the link that Alicia put into our chat shows which labs have a 12-point credential. Not all of our labs do have the 12-point credential. Many of them do. Also, with that being said, though, just because they have a 12-point credential does not necessarily mean a student will automatically earn that. It is a test that the student has to take and pass in order to earn those industry credentials. And an example of this would be our cosmetology lab. That does have a 12-point credential by passing their state board license. However, that test is not taken until after students graduate. It's right after they graduate, and that summer is when they get scheduled. So that would not be one that you could rely on that 12-point credential, because that would happen after graduation potentially. A pre-apprenticeship or acceptance into an approved apprenticeship program. And then some supporting documents would be the work-based learning, earning the required scores on work keys, or the Ohio Means Job Readiness Seal. Option 2, they could also enlist in the military. So the state has determined that by signing the contract and enlisting in the military, that would show competency and could be one of their pathways for graduation. And then finally, option 3 is College Credit Plus work. So again, if they don't meet the competency scores in the algebra or English, they could take a college level math or English in order to show competency for pathway number 2.
And Allison, this might be a good question for everyone.
Yes.
Are there any other state tests required for graduation other than the ELA and Algebra 2?
Yes, so students will still, as of now, as of today, the students still have to take the ELA 2 test. They have to take Algebra 1, Geometry, American History, Government, and Biology. So there are 6 tests that students still have to take, but these are the 2 that the state is saying they must show competency.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, the third is that they want students to show readiness. So they have developed many seals that the students have to choose from as a way to show readiness. Students have to earn at least 2 of these seals in order to show readiness. So you can see down the list, a lot of them have an Ohio after them. Those are Ohio developed seals that the state of Ohio, throughout the state, seals are the same at all schools. The last 3 are locally designed seals, so each district can come up with their own local seals and how they want a student to prove that they have earned that seal. So those are the Community Service Seal, Fine and Performing Arts Seal, and Student Engagement Seal. All the ones at the top, the Ohio Means Job Readiness, Industry Recognized Credential, College Ready Seal, Military, Citizenship Seal, Science Seal, those are all state of Ohio seals. And again, students have to earn at least 2 seals. One of them has to be an Ohio design seal. The other can be a local, or you can have 2 Ohio design seals. Again, this is something that we'll be working closely with our home school districts. Again, this is a graduation pathway, so this comes through our home schools. So these local seals you will follow. If you're a Delaware Hayes student, you will follow Hayes's local seals. If you're an Olentangy student, you will follow Olentangy's local seals. So this is something that we'll be working closely with our counselors to just kind of track and make sure the students are on a path to earn 2 of these seals.
Okay, I'm up next. I want to speak in regards to CTAGs as well as articulation agreements. And if you had the opportunity to pull up that PDF, it gives you an idea by program what we offer and who we have direct partnerships with for articulation agreements, as well as our CTAGs. So I'll start out with an articulation agreement. So that is a direct partnership with the colleges up here. So we have, right across the street here, Columbus State Community College, Hocking, as well as COTC and UNO, which is in Mansfield. So what that means is that it's students in our career tech programming, if they achieve a C or higher in their CTE courses. So we have a total of 4 courses. And there's 2 courses per year of that program. They have the ability to earn articulation. So it's really going to vary by the program. So I know that fire, they have 19 credit hours through Hocking for articulation. I know that our engineering has, it's up there close to 19. I think we're hovering around 20 or so, and that's through Columbus State. So it's really dependent on the program and how many hours we can offer for articulation. But to kind of give you an idea, parents, what I would do, I would take, some type of coursework in the summertime or take a gap year to go to one of these colleges so you can take advantage of the articulation. It's only good 18 months after high school graduation. So what you can do in the summertime after DACC, you can take a course in that pathway that follows your DACC course, and then you can take on not only the course you're taking that summer, but you get all those articulation agreements. So you could sit at 13 credit hours, then you could then take on to a university of your choosing for the following year. So that's really how you can take opportunity of those articulation agreements through those partnerships that we have with those colleges. And then moving on to, it's called a CTAG, Career Technical Assurance Guide. It's very similar to an articulation. However, it opens your possibilities up to any public institution in the state of Ohio that offers that same coursework. So again, it's going to vary by program of how many credits are available for CTAGs. I know some of our colleges like Columbus State, they will accept articulation as well as CTAGs. So it's really dependent on where your student wants to go after DACC. In order for us to be a CTE program, all of our programs, with the exception to our transition programs, they have to have a direct tie-in with a university because we want students to be able to take advantage of the opportunities here to earn that free credit to help them with life after high school. If you notice on here too, you're going to see there's a web exam. So what a web exam means, it's the career tech equivalent to your academic end of course testing. So all of our CTE programs, with the exception to our transition programs, they will take up to 4 web exams. And that is, it's really determined by business and industry. There are subject matter experts that sit on a panel, and then depending on what the course is, they will come up with 40 questions that are multiple choice that align to that course that we're teaching. So our students have to pass that course in order to be eligible for the CTAG. It's really going to be dependent for articulation on that college. Columbus State, you don't necessarily have to pass the web exam, but I know with Hocking, you do have to pass that web exam. Students will have the opportunity to take the web exam once their junior year. They just came out with some flexibility here their senior year. I don't know if this is going to be the new standard moving forward, or if it's due to the pandemic. They really haven't expressed that. But what happens is they can take it once, and then if they don't pass the web exam, they're allowing a retake their senior year. So that's, obviously positive for our students to be able to still earn their CTAGs as well as articulation. If you notice too on a CTAG, the nice thing is it's a little bit more lengthier in terms of the deadline. So, students could be able to take advantage of that 3 years after graduation. So maybe they go right out into business and industry and they say, you know what, I need to further my education. Then they can still take advantage of that CTAG after leaving DACC.
Dave, before you move on,
Yep.
We had a question about, do students need CTAGs to attend a four-year college? Knowing that there's lots of different pathways that our students take after high school, what would the main purpose of a CTAG be for one of our students?
Yeah, so if you're going on to a 4-year, 2-year university, same thing. I would definitely take advantage of that CTAG.
All right.
Great. Moving on to College Credit Plus, and this is another opportunity that's very popular with our students at DACC and throughout Ohio. And this, different from some of those other things that Mr. Gilliam were just talking about, these are actual college credits that students are getting that are going directly on their high school and college transcripts at the same time. And so again, it's very popular. These are going to be more on our academic side of classes, and they're free for students. The courses are free as long as they, of course, pass those classes. One thing to note, we handle College Credit Plus at DACC. If you are a full day student, your home schools will be handling College Credit Plus if you are a half day student. So again, with the COVID-19 pandemic, the requirements and qualifications to be in College Credit Plus are currently still being evaluated by each university. Each university can set their own qualifying standards, and the university that we work with most on that, the two that we work with, Findlay and Columbus State, are still working on that. I actually was in communication with Columbus State today, and they still do not have their final qualifications for the courses for next year. But right now, they kind of gave me some guidance, but it is something you have to qualify for. There is something called the letter to participate, and that form needs to be turned in. It can be turned into your home school, and they can give that to us. Many of you might have already turned that in. They've extended that deadline to May 1st, and that's critical because if you need to have that in, that allows the school to pay for the course on your behalf. If you wait till after that date, the school can refuse to pay for that course. So make sure you get that form in. It's a simple form, and that way that you can have those courses paid for by the university. As far as applying to the universities, the main two that we work with, the University of Findlay and Columbus State. If you're taking a Columbus State class like English 1100, Political Science 1100, that should be 1100, sorry. Those courses you need to do the application through Columbus State, so you can do that right now. You just go to their website, click the apply button, and do the College Credit Plus application. If you're taking a University of Findlay course such as stats, then that will be done here at our school next year. So there's nothing to worry about as far as their application to do. Columbus State has a little bit of additional paperwork, and there may be some other things you might need to do. Of course, you do have options to take courses at other universities like Ohio State and other universities around us that offer College Credit Plus. but that is something that you need to make sure you're looking at on your own and considering. We're happy to help and answer questions on College Credit Plus courses. I know there was a question about how many College Credit Plus classes you should take. There is a limit, and that's limited by the state of Ohio on how many you can take. We do have some good information on our website at DACC that you can get the link to. And that's here at the bottom of the presentation here, and we might be able to put it in our chat. And then the state of Ohio has a lot of great information. You should really go through the PowerPoint if you've not done that with your homeschool. The state of Ohio has that on their website along with us here at DACC on our website. So definitely get a lot of information and make sure that your student is prepared. But what I would say is, students that take College Credit Plus classes in high school, they have a much higher comfort level going to college because they've already taken a college class. They know some of the expectations, some of the requirements, know the pace, since it's a semester course generally in high school, that it gives them that comfort level that they can be successful in college, and makes it much more likely they'll attend and do well. So it's a great opportunity, and we are supportive of dozens and dozens and dozens of students each year taking those classes.
Hey, Matt, I have a couple of questions that came in while you're talking. If intent to take College Credit Plus is submitted this spring, can they sign up for Summer College Credit Plus this year?
Yes. So the College Credit Plus work starts in the summer of this summer and goes through spring of next year. So yes, you can take those classes. If you're taking any classes though this summer, that would be going through your home high school, because you're not an official student at DACC until August. So that would any registration and things that you need to do would go through your home high school counselor. So make sure you're working with them to get that taken care of so it can get paid for. Those classes, let's say through Columbus State, for instance, those are available right now to sign up for. So if you're planning on doing that, I would get on that really quick so you don't get locked out of your classes.
And then a question, Michelle, we may need clarification on this. Are additional college classes outside of the ones we offer here at DACC paid for as a high school student? And I'm assuming she's referring College Credit Plus specifically? Yeah,
and that's a good question, and that may be something we need to talk about as well. The state of Ohio caps the max credits for a student is 30 per year, and that's a combination of high school and college classes together. And that's one of those things that's on all the presentations with the state of Ohio and on ours to kind of get that equation and look at. So there is that max per year, and we can help work through that, but definitely take a look at that equation. And but you do have additional space in your schedule beyond what we offer and what is in the student's lab to take some additional courses outside of high school. There is always there's definitely a little bit of space there if they want to do something during the summer or outside of the school day to do that, if somebody's ready to do that. Obviously, we have to also remember each student's at their own spot. We do have students every year that do fail courses, and we want students not only need to be ready to take the courses academically and prepared to take those as their intelligence level and ability, but also the maturity level. And that's something else to consider. Is a student mature enough and responsible enough to take that on, because it does go on their permanent record. So a lot of students choose not to overload themselves their junior year with College Credit Plus and maybe do more their senior year. Obviously, we want to set them up to get hopefully A's, so that's going to be a positive start to their college career.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up, I know I alluded to this earlier, but just want to kind of give me an idea of the acceptance celebration. So I still am working with the Delaware General Health Department to make sure that we can pull this off safely as we continue to navigate through this pandemic. But please mark your calendars, May 4th, 5th, and 6th. So it should be a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. your lab program will go on one of those evenings. So we won't offer those 3 evenings for the lab to go multiple evenings. It'll just be one of those evenings. I'm still working on solidifying which lab will go which evening. That is for our on-campus programming. If we look at our satellite, so we look at zoo, we look at wildlife, equine, they will also go within one of those evenings, but their acceptance celebration will actually be off campus at wherever their facility is. Kind of give you a better in-depth overview. The format, so what we're going to do is we're going to offer 2 sessions with the exception to digital design because we have more students in digital design. The time frame will be 6 to 8 p.m. Again, with the exception, digital design would be like 5 to 8. We're looking to have 2 sessions within that time frame of 6 to 8. So session 1 would begin at 6 o'clock, end at 6:45. So again, give you the opportunity to finally step foot on our campus, to take a tour of the lab, and then kind of give you the instructor will give you a breakdown of their scope and sequence of the programming, what you can expect, as well as give you we will have approved fees available that will give you a breakdown of those student fees by lab. We'll also give you a snap code, and that is unique to each individual student. That is our registration process. So you will have the ability to start registering your student starting in May. Hopefully you get that knocked out quickly, but you do have the summer to register as well. But that's really kind of going over all our policies and procedures, as well as filling out emergency medical information. So again, more information will be forthcoming. For the signups, I know that we're going to put together the sign up genius. So we will put links out. We will put, I believe it's going to be 12 slots in session 1, and then 13 in session 2, because the majority of our programming is capped at 25 seats. And then we're looking for the student and then 1 parent guardian to attend that evening of the acceptance celebration, to make sure that, obviously we can pull this off in a safe fashion. Now it's, we're going to open it up real quick. We just want to let you know this is a series of virtual sessions. So hopefully this information was valuable to kind of give you a better lay of the land in regards to DACC and how we work with our associate school districts in partnership. But the next virtual session will be April 19th at 7 p.m. And then that will be with our assistant principals as well as our principal, to give you a better understanding of our attendance model, school delays, notifications, transportation, as well as some other daily logistics. So now we can open this up for Q&A. Feel free, if you have questions, to go ahead and add that to the chat feature.
And Dave, I have a
go
couple
ahead.
questions that I marked. So for families who have found themselves on a wait list, what should their next steps be? And then related, if there's a family who's been accepted but maybe wants to look into changing a lab, what does that look like for our families?
Yep. So I can speak to the wait list. So what happens is, students are teenagers, and if they're accepted now, unfortunately they could, change their mind here this month, or, it could come in summertime where they're like, what, I figured out that maybe I don't want to pursue this. So they will self-cancel. As soon as we get notification that they have self-canceled, we will call the next person on the wait list. So again, that could be this week, or it could be in the middle of summertime, as well as when we look at the start of the school year. We do have this grace period, so within the first 10 days of school, we could have students that not all of them show up to fill that 25 seat capacity, we will still be reaching out within that first 10 days of school to offer students a seat from the wait list.
And then if you don't mind, I'll field this
Yep.
one. Somebody asked how they get school closing notifications, like weather alerts and things like that. So we send out instant notifications that will come to you through text, email, phone call. And then we're excited that by the time that you start in the fall, we should also have an app that you can download so that if you opt in, that message will offer a push notification to just show up right on your phone as well. 10TV lists our closing notifications. We also put it on our website and our social media. So we put it in as many places as possible, but it should show up just right on your phone. Please know that if your school closes or delays, that doesn't necessarily mean that DACC will. So if you're attending both schools, if you're a half-day student here, look for a notification from them and a separate notification from us. If you don't receive one from us, that means we're still running as normal.
And then real quick, I forgot to answer the second part of the question in regards to changing programs. So if you are interested in changing a program, please notify us, call our guidance department. We can put the phone number in there. It's 740-203-2214, and make us aware that you want to change a program. And then it's all dependent on what that next program. It could be full. It could have a wait list, or we could have openings in that next program. So it's really dependent on where, what you want to change to. But we're happy to receive those phone calls and help steer you to another program.
And so here's a great question about CTAGs. If a university is not listed for CTAGs, how do we know if they'll accept it, and how common would it be for a university to accept CTAGs?
So it's very common for the public universities in the state of Ohio. Actually, they have to accept a CTAG, but the caveat is that we have to offer the same program type of thing. So you can't get a CTAG in a digital design and then try to take that into some other type of career field at a different university. So it has to be in alignment. If you look at that sheet, it's all, you only see the articulation agreements with those colleges. So again, Hocking, Columbus State, UNO, and COTC, because we're unable to kind of, I guess, list all the Ohio public institutions. So, I mean, if you have more specific questions, so if you're looking into like Toledo or BGSU or Ohio State, certainly let us know, and we can do the legwork on that to make sure that your student's taken care of with a CTAG.
Follow-up question about school delays, closings. If we're open, but our associate school is closed, will buses still be available? And when you answer that, can you also address our attendance expectations for students whose homeschool is either closed or delayed, but we're operating as normal?
Okay, yeah. So first, if your homeschool is closed, they will not operate buses to DACC. Generally, if your homeschool, I'm talking in Delaware County, if they're closed, generally DACC is also closed. There's some exceptions, obviously, depending on the day and the weather. In regards to delays, I guess you would honor. It's all dependent. If you're relying on bus transportation, they are going to pick you up based on the delay schedule of their homeschool in order to get you here to DACC. If students provide their own transportation, it's really up to their comfort level and the parent comfort level. Or if the parent drops them off, we might have an hour delay. So we would, definitely take students on that hour delay. But if your homeschool's on a 2-hour delay, we're going to be definitely going to be flexible to work with our students. And the attendance model, Real quick, again, 2 different attendance models. So if your student is called off for your homeschool and you're a half-day student, you also need to call off at DACC. If you're a full-day student, you don't need to call off at your homeschool. You just need to call off to DACC. And then with our attendance model, we keep open lines of communication with our homeschools to share attendance.
So just to clarify, as a parent, if I attend Big Walnut and they're on a 2-hour delay, but DACC is operating as normal, I can and I am expected to show up at DACC in the morning, but Big Walnut's on a delay. I can come in to DACC following Big Walnut's delay schedule. I can come in late as long as I have a note from my parent.
Absolutely,
it's excused.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not going to put you, on that risk with that weather out there on the roads. We're going to be flexible.
All right. Those are the questions I marked that had come up. If anybody else has questions, if you're able to chat, you can put it into the chat. If you're on a device that's not able to chat, feel free to unmute yourself and throw a question out to our counselors. And Lynn said, thank you for a very informative and helpful presentation. We're glad this could be helpful for you. And we'll hang on for a few minutes in case more questions come up. If you've had your questions answered, you're welcome to log off. We'll keep information coming to you over the next few months as we prepare for you to start with us in the fall, and we'll offer a few more sessions like this. All right, and look at you guys, 101, right on time. Who is the counselor for law enforcement? Off the top of my head, I can't name it.
Mrs. Holly Fissel.
Mrs. Fissel. She wasn't able to be on the call today, but she is the counselor for law enforcement.
She's here. She just put her name.
I'm on it now.
Here.
Yep, just got on.
Wonderful.
Holly has the next session from 1 to 2 solo.
Well, Mrs. Cox and Mr. Wood did a great job covering for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks.
All right, we'll just hang out for a second in case anything hits you before you log off. Otherwise, we're so glad you joined us. Thanks for spending the hour this afternoon with us.